On this episode, we bring you a culmination of drama.
If he does not return, I shall be enraged.
Music. And words creatively woven to encourage and revive the reading culture in Nigeria with a focus on River State. From Port Harcourt, the UNESCO World Book Capital for 2014, I'm Onyi Sunday, and this is Rivers of Possibilities. The World Book Capital is a title bestowed by UNESCO on a city in recognition of the quality of its programs to promote books and reading. In April 2014, Port Harcourt, the River State capital, became the 14th city in the world to earn the title of the World Book Capital. In a colorful event in April 2014 that attracted dignitaries locally and internationally, 2013 recipient Bangkok handed over the baton to Port Harcourt.
So stand up for the champions, stand up.
The event was marked by a week-long program.
For the first time, a city in Africa is been named as the World Book Capital. And what essentially this would do is it would trigger a very important development as far as books are concerned. So reading of books, emergence of new authors, the global recognition of many more authors from all over Africa, and then a complete focus on the importance of human capital, because everything that book is about is the development of the mind, and the mind developed is more creativity, and that can be a counterculture to most of Africa that depends on natural resources for its economy.
Port Harcourt was chosen because of the quality of its programs, especially for its focus on the youth and the improvement of Nigeria's literacy rate. The journey towards that bid, however, began here at Rainbow Book Club in Port Harcourt. Coco Kalango is the founder of the book club that began 10 years ago.
3 Bs are responsible for what is now the Rainbow Book Club, and one I'll say is a burden for society. And I thought to myself, rather than sit down and moan and groan, what can you do? And because of my background, coming from a family where education was presented as everything, naturally the burden would lead me to a venture in education. So that's how I started, because of a burden. And I always say boredom as well. I was raising 2 young children and living in a secluded, privileged community. And when we drive out from where we stayed, then you'd see these children, in abject poverty. And I thought, what can I do? Having received so much, I need to give back. So one of the most fulfilling jobs I've done is with those children. It was in a rural community in the Niger Delta. And then the 3rd B, so there's the burden, there's boredom. The 3rd B is a blessing. I consider myself blessed in every way, from my family, my talent, my background. And I just think, having received so much, that I should give back. And that's how we started the Rainbow Book Club 10 years ago. And we thought we need to draw attention to the importance of reading to personal and national development. And we thought, well, how do we get people to listen to us? We better enlist prominent writers, prominent members of society to lend their voice to the campaign.
The club has evolved over the years, setting up seed libraries, book clubs, publishing books, and training sessions for writers. Unknowingly, these achievements laid the foundation for an open bid which saw Port Harcourt compete with cities like Oxford, Lyon, and Moscow.
What UNESCO does is put out a call for entries open to all the cities of the world, and whosoever will comes to bid. We saw that, and we thought Nigeria is qualified for various reasons. Nigeria has given the world some of the best writers, the first person of African descent to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, the writer of Africa's most popular novel, Things Fall Apart, other stars in the galaxy, Ben Okri, Chimamanda Adichie, so many, Neo Shundare. And then we looked at the criteria. Some of the things UNESCO was looking out for is that the city has to be able to show a history in literary events. And you may know that this city is home to writers like Gabriel Okara, Elechi Amadi, Kaine Agari, Igone Barrett, Chimeka Garrix, the late Olarotimi, the late Ken Saro-Wiwa, etc. So we do have that history, and we had the potential to show that we could be World Book Capital. So that's what they were looking out for. So as I said to you, we approached the authorities, we worked, together. When we put in that bid, naturally, of course, with the, in collaboration with the state, we wrote to the Mr. President and said, we've put in the bid. And we were contacted and supported, like, let's go for it.
The Ministry of Education, we were part of, when the bidding was going on, we were part of it. We worked with Rainbow Book Club. That really happened in my office. We had visitors from Paris, different parts of the world that came, and we filled up the bidding forms right in my office. And after that, I think she took over because she's the consultant and followed through. And we got the news that Rivers State has been nominated to host the World Book Capital.
The perks attached to the title has enabled the club continue its regular programs, expand on existing ones, and start up fresh programs aimed at improving the reading culture and literacy rates of Nigerians. The Walking Book Project is one of such. Aimed at encouraging writing amongst school children, a book was published made up of essays written by children from various schools across the country.
The plan was that the book would walk through the 36 states and Abuja. And the Deputy Governor said, so why don't you do a pilot and let's see how it would work? So we thought, okay, let's do the pilot for the 23 local governments in Rivers State. So we chose schools from every local government and wrote to the schools. Partnership with the Rivers State Commissioner of Education. We worked with her to select schools and wrote to the schools. We gave them various options, topics. Tell us something about your local government. It's really the sights and sounds of the local government. At the federal level, is the sights and sounds of the state. Tell us something about your state. And so we actually had to bring them to Port Harcourt, the teachers, to explain the concept to them and tell them these are the kind of students you want to write, to participate in this writing. Students who are interested in literature, students who are interested in history, students who write properly. And by the opening ceremony, we had that book ready.
The national edition of the Walking Book Project will be launched at the closing ceremony when the baton is passed on to Incheon, Korea next year. So far, the Rainbow Book Club has organized 4 international roadshows showcasing Nigeria's rich literary heritage, donated over 66,000 books to 100 school libraries, and currently runs 200 book clubs in 100 schools across Rivers State.
What we do is that we try to ensure that the books that we are using, primary and secondary schools, or for anything, even for the monthly readings, are books that teach values. So we expect that the children have learned values, the value of honesty, the value of hard work, and that's something we want to, we really believe that we can have generational change in the society by ensuring that children understand these things from, when they are young, they read, they understand that this is how to become a leader, this is how to, even if you want to become wealthy, this is how to get there.
Made up of a selected group of students across classes in both primary and secondary schools, the state's Ministry of Education ensures the books are appropriate for the students.
And an exciting thing happened. She had
Here at Graceland Montessori, the students are discussing a book titled Grandma in the News.
He's handsome! He's handsome! He has a new car and all the girls in the city like him.
Oh my! All the girls in the city like him. And he has a new
car.
We give children books to read. They go home, read, come back, and retell the story. But you see, they add more to the story than just what the author wrote. So that's what happens in the book club. Apart from that, the children, their imagination is, is wide.
Rainbow Book Club's evaluation and monitoring team measure the impact the program is having on the students. Idowu Ajani is the monitoring and evaluation coordinator of the Port Harcourt UNESCO World Book Capital 2014 projects. He is in charge of developing tools to measure the effectiveness of the programs initiated.
So I came up with two instruments. One of the instruments was called cognitive assessment. We wanted to use this instrument to measure whether learning has taken place or not, and it was administered on our participants. From there, we collected the data, we came to our office, we analyzed, and from there, we were able to see whether the instrument was reliable. And that has been the data we are using now to assess the students.
For program coordinator Mayang Efyong, the impact is immediate.
For the Reading Tree and Book Club programs, even without the M&E impact telling me anything, we see change. You go to a school and you watch a book club meeting and you find kids who are timid, who, are scared to speak up at the meetings. And a few months later, you find some bold kids, they put up their hands. Children who didn't want to speak before, they stand up boldly. You see 8-year-old children who get up to summarize a book, who have learned vocabulary. We're also able to compare their workbooks. Every week after you read a book, you actually answer questions in your workbook. We prepared workbooks for the Reading Tree and the Book Club programs. You can see a child's workbook for first term. You see his vocabulary, his English, the spellings, and months after, you see his workbook, and you can tell that there has been an impact.
A new book is read every week at private and public primary schools.
He often wondered how the kingdom would be without him.
Reading sessions such as these are made more interesting through interaction between students who have become close friends by virtue of the love for literature.
Do you really enjoy having these sessions with your friends? Do you really enjoy coming down here to read?
Yes, I enjoy it.
Can you tell me why?
It helps in class.
Tell me how.
Because new words, when we're learning it, others in class that aren't in book club won't know the words except they use the dictionary to learn it.
There are 2,500 students currently participating in book clubs across the state. These books not only afford the students an opportunity to learn, it also helps to shape their character at an early age, as we discover after the break. We also sat with Nigeria's celebrated writer and literary icon, Captain Ilichi Amadi. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Rivers of Possibilities, and the focus is on the UNESCO World Book Capital 2014 status awarded to Port Harcourt. The lineup of programs to encourage reading and literature continues at the basis, this time at the secondary schools in Rivers State. At this state-owned secondary school, the book in focus is titled What Sunny Saw in the Flame, an African literature written by Nnedi Okorafo.
Just tell me a little bit more about the story.
The story is about Sunny, who does not know that her grandmother is among the leopard. It's just about leopard. They are doing some juju. So Ongu Shasha was the first encounter in which she met. So she was initiated to leopards. So
what does she do with the powers that she has?
She used it to make someone afraid of her, but not in the physical world, but in the spiritual world.
Well, she don't use it in the physical world. She only uses it when she wants to cross the bridge, and she also uses it when they went to fight Black Hat Otokoto, when he was about to bring out Ekwensu. the dangerous spirit.
Almost everyone has an interpretation of the book and the message behind it.
Sunny inspired me in the sense that even though my family are poor, no matter circumstances I see myself, I can stand out to defend myself, my family, my friends, and even my country.
In collaboration with the River State government, a lot of programs designed by the club have been implemented with various levels of success. River State Commissioner for Education, Dame Alice Lawrence Nemi, believes the gains recorded today are as a result of the turnaround in the state's education sector.
But you know, when you're doing something really, you don't even know, at the end of the day, something will come out of it. Now, with the World Book Capital, once this administration came in place, His Excellency became the governor of River State. I think it was plowing the seed, without a young man who came in and felt, well, I'm here to turn around the educational sector. Not really only my sector, some other sectors, but let me speak for Minister of Education. I'm here to change the face of River State. Now for education, this is what I want to do. He declared a state of emergency. We started building the school. He made sure that they required what we require in what a model primary school should look like. Same with the secondary school. And I know that he loves reading too. And he insisted, each time he goes to the school, the first question he will ask the head teacher is, I hope you're using your library. And they will say yes. He will go back again. Luckily, he found out that actually they have it on their timetable. So it's something, an investment which he started since 2008 to ensure that once the infrastructure of any school, there must be a library, a well-stocked-up library.
This model primary school was built in commemoration of the UNESCO World Book Capital event. Many more like it can be found across the state.